3, 2, 1. This is the Hiboy S2, an electric scooter. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing it. So, let's go right into it. The first thing about it is this LED display. Now, how you turn it on, and this is also how you turn on the electric scooter itself, is by holding down this button right here, the power button. Hold it down for about 1 second, and then it will turn on. As you can see, it has your miles per hour, your battery life, and the type of speed you're going. Right now, if it's a red S, it's sports mode, which means it can go as fast as 19 miles per hour. Now, if it is a green S, by clicking it 1, 2, 3, that makes it into a green S, and that green S makes it a drive mode where basically the highest it can go is 13 miles per hour. So I enjoy it at sports mode since that means that it can go faster. Now, how you turn it off is by holding this down, but before we do that, it's just really good for if you're place you live or if you're going out in the dark at times, because it has a built-in light. If you just click that one time, and as you can see over here, it's really bright, and you can see that against the wall. And then down here you can see how we have all of these lights. I mean, you can see how it's lighting up my hands. We have some backlights over here. And yeah, now, how you charge it is actually, now you hold it down to turn it off, and then how you charge it is right here. Take that out, and then right over here, I have my charger, as you can see. And then you basically put the charger just in there, and then once it's done, this light will turn green. Now right now it's green because it's not plugged in, but as you can see when we plug it in, it's gonna be red. So we just have to plug that in, and then you can see that's red. Now, once it gets to full battery, however, it would be green, no longer red. Now when you take it off or out, sometimes it'll turn on. So when it does that, you just hold it down, turn it off. Now it's very important that you remember to seal this back up when you're done charging, because you know, sometimes if it starts to rain, which I should say don't drive this in the rain or on wet grounds, because it can get a little bit loose. But basically, if this gets wet, then the whole charging can be affected. And yeah, now, how you actually drive this is right here at the throttle. Now this is the throttle. You push it down when you're on, you give it a bit of a kick to start it, and then you push that down and it'll start to go, and you can kind of control what speed you want to go by how much pressure you put on it. So obviously if you go to the very end on sports mode, you're going to be going 19 miles per hour if that's possible. This is the slow release brake, I'd say, where basically it slowly brakes. Now it's really important to use this, and this is what I would call the emergency brake. This is when if there's a car in front of you and you know you're not going to make it in time really to slow down with this, because always use this first. This is much better when it comes down to not being flung off, because what this does is it stops, I think, the front, and when it stops that, then you're going over it. So this just slowly stops it, while this immediately stops it. Now, as you can see right here, it also has a little bell. It's quite loud. Now, if I turn this on, it's a cool thing. So for parents who want to get this but are sometimes worried that their kids or them or cars or whatever really aren't going to be able to see when they're braking or anything, when you have it on, and I'm just going to be walking, I'm going to hold down that, you can see the light turns on, okay? Now it does the same thing with this one right here, the light will turn on. So even if I'm not moving, and I just go like that or that, the light always will turn on because that's a safety thing. Then, as you can see here, they're really gripped and nice. So there's a kickstand right here, which is helpful for when you're charging it in places like the garage and stuff. And we can see its whole thing. Now, this actually is not a brake. Now, some people might get confused with this, especially this part. I'll show you guys, hi Izzy. I'll show you guys what that is in a second. Now, what that is actually is where, I'm not going to do it because it takes a lot of strength, but basically you take this, you put that, you do something with this where it's like pulling it or something. My dad usually does it. And then this will be folding down. Then you pick that up, and right here, this little hook, as you can see right there, that will hook onto right there. And that's how basically this whole part gets folded down in there. So if you want to take it in a car to like the beach or whatever, that's always a thing you can do. And the tires are actually really cool because these tires are actually full and not, they don't have air in them. They actually have something inside of them, and it's solid tires. So there's no air, nothing. So if you go over something a little bit sharp, and I'm not saying you can start going over like vines with like thorns and stuff and not have like a puncture in your tire, but all the air won't release because there's not any air in them. Next, if you can see over here, this is all really good grade metal. And this is really like all, like you can stay on this. Like, see I'm rubbing my foot on that? If I rub it forward, it's pretty difficult to get off. And that's good because that way when you're going, you won't start slipping off all the time. So, then the next thing we have is how to accelerate without going too fast. What you want to do to start off with is always, when you're doing it, you don't want to have it, I'm not going to have my scooter on during this, but basically when you do it, when you kick off of it and then you start, you don't want to always have it at the very bottom, and you definitely don't want to have it well, sometimes you can, but it really depends. But a lot of the time you don't want to be holding it down while you kick off, because then you could slowly start going and then immediately you go wee, and you start going kind of fast, and you sometimes aren't really prepared for that. Now, a really, really, really cool feature about this is if you're going, all right, so let's say I have the throttle on and then I stop, right? Now, as long as I leave it, as long as like it stays still for maybe about 5 seconds, it won't start the throttle again. But basically, what you can do is if you go and then you stop, like let's say there's a car, sometimes you're able just to press that down depending on how long ago you were to stop. You're able to press this down and go without having to do the kickoff again. Other times you will have to do the kickoff, but that's not really a big deal. As you can see, there's some really good like wire brake cord over here. It's all strong, so it's not going to be getting like punctured or anything. And yeah, this LED display, I recommend sort of cleaning it sometimes. It can be as simple as like breathing, like, but you know, you can always use like a little screen light on it or something. And yeah, so that's my review for the Hiboy S2. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, think about liking and perhaps subscribing. If not, that's alright. Have an amazing day. Bye.